You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
The biggest week probably in the sporting calendar is coming up now. We had Bathurst just last week. We've got the AFL and NFL grand finals coming up, and the racing Spring Carnival has started, and the Caulfield Cup was run.
Keep going, and
yes, and the Vixens
the Vixens grand final.
I noticed that, Donald, and I thought of you specifically when I saw the
Great
girls,
game.
women, the people holding the cup up. It was a great game. Well, just before we get on to
and we've got rugby league coming up.
I just said that the NFL.
Did he say
NRL?
Oh, NRL.
Did he?
Yeah.
He said a version of it, yeah.
Yeah, I said NFL. You probably thought. Now, I can understand why you might have thought.
Talking about rugby league.
All right, let's talk about it.
Do you think Melbourne Storm, would be the greatest Yeah, I'll say that in Australia.
Say something.
Team or organisation within Australia in a sporting sphere.
Now let's do that question again.
Okay, Melbourne Storm.
Yes, I've got that.
As an organisation,
yes,
on field, yes, on field, yes.
What do you think off field?
Well, off field, they're not as big enough. They're not a big enough club, not big enough members to be off field. I mean,
now, hang on,
hang on, Rod.
Give us the
question.
They've
got to be run well off the field to do what they've done on the field.
I'm talking about members. Like they just don't have the supporter base.
Hang on, but
Don,
that's not the point.
Might be people listening from Jerusalem who'll write.
There is one.
Right. So give us the question again. What you going to
my
read
statement,
on there?
I'm asking the question, posing the
what
question.
Is it?
Do you think they are the best run sporting organisation, success-wise, as well as being run efficiently? Obviously, they've got to be run efficiently to do what they've done.
Well,
they've won how many premierships? I think they're about 5.
They've had two taken off them.
They've had 2 taken off. I think they've won 5 and 2 taken off them.
They ran
and I think
tandem books. They ran an official set of books.
Like
they've been runners up 5 times.
Like a fish and chip shop.
Hang on, you idiots.
Listen
to what I'm saying. 3 runners up. Well, they've actually got 3 premierships, but they had 2 taken away. So
I've been to all of them. I've been to all of them.
So in Craig Bellamy's time, no, they won one under another fellow.
1999 was the first.
Lazarus was captain. They had Brett Camorley playing, I think, as fullback.
Yeah, Chris, the guy with glasses. Yeah, Chris. Yeah, that's it.
Anderson.
Chris, what's his name?
Well, he was the coach, but that was 99. So every other one,
went
that's
to that.
9.
They had that taken off them.
Not 99,
didn't they?
No. The salary cap 2007 and 8 or something, wasn't it? Or 9, some period about then. So they had to rebuild. They finished last, I think, one time because they had their points taken off.
Chris Anderson.
They had the points taken off. That's right, Chris Anderson. I just think as an organisation, and if you look at the players, recent players, and they're calling Cameron Smith the all-time great, but up there is Cooper Cronk. Now, if you watch Cooper Cronk, which I took my hat off to him a couple of years ago when he went to the Rabbitohs.
Yep.
No, he went to the Roosters.
Was it the Roosters?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, in the grand final where he played with that crook arm, didn't touch the ball yet ran the whole thing out on that.
I went to that too.
Did you? That was just amazing, wasn't it? And then you got Billy Slater, another all-time. Well,
Billy Slater, probably the best footballer, along with.
They say Cameron Smith.
Probably the best footballer, along with Wayne Rooney from soccer parlance in America, in
England,
and the bloke who throws the football in the NFL.
Hang on, you're putting
what's his name? Who said the ball was flat?
Brady.
Brady. What's his name? Tom
Brady.
Tom Brady.
What about
Billy
Andrew
Slater
Johns?
and Rooney?
Andrew Johns.
Fantastic, Andrew Johns.
Why would you put Wayne Rooney up there?
Oh, well, because he's probably...
We have got no idea what we're talking about at the moment.
No, I
talking about soccer, English football.
No, I'm talking about the best footballers beside Messi and...
Wayne Rooney?
Best Messi and what's the other one? Ronaldo.
You're talking shit. You don't know what you're talking about.
None of us do.
Let's just talk about rugby.
John,
I don't know nothing
about football, right? The best footballers, I'm talking about football. There's a lot of different versions of football. There's soccer, which is called football. There's the NFL, which is called football. There's Australian rules called football. There's the NRL, which is called football. There's plenty of footballs played, and I'm saying Slater, Wayne Rooney from
Gary Rooney.
England in the English Premier League, if he's not the best footballer in the English Premier League, or was, when Slater was the best, and Tom Brady. There,
Wayne Rooney?
Wayne Rooney.
Oh, come on.
It's the best you've seen.
I
Like
said
Darren
in
Buick.
the English Premier League,
No, mate.
Wayne Rooney is
come on.
probably what you don't. You think you know what you're talking about, Don?
No, I don't. It's a very subjective
He's got his
thing.
mouth full.
It's a very subjective thing, but I'm listening.
Don't spit chocolate into the microphone either. Look, Google Wayne Rooney, please.
Oh, I know. We all know who he is.
Oh, you're saying,
What's it going to
who's
say? He's
he?
as good as Billy Slater. It's not going to say that. It doesn't matter what we
different
Google.
sports.
I'm saying Billy Slater was the creme de la creme as a footballer.
Hang on, well, so is Cameron
Ed,
Smith.
no one's
Of
denying
course
he
he
was a
is.
great
Of
player.
course he is, and so are a whole lot of others. But
they
for
all
what
play
he
in
was-
different
as a
positions
fullback,
as well.
That's the point, Donald. It's like the Brownlow medal won by another where
Midfielder.
another one, right? As a fullback, which I think Billy Slater was, his command of his troops and where they should stand and be in place of Cameron Smith, who is the overall
No,
purveyor.
Cameron Smith is the organiser, isn't he?
Oh, I just said in place of Cameron
What
Smith.
about in netball, Don? Who's the equivalent?
Oh, you idiot.
Well, who is?
Well, you love it.
Hey?
You love it.
I do, and it's on the change too, netball. And they've put in, you boys wouldn't, well, if you watched it, they've put in a 2-point shot, like a 3-point.
Yeah, we knew that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, we did that.
Well, there were a couple of them had a go, and I think netball will change because they're getting bigger people and they're very tall shooters, and they only get 1 point if you shoot it within that semicircle.
Yes,
But if
that's
you do
right.
it in the
You get
shaded
2.
or the painted area now, it's 2 points. Now, I think it'll change the game because they will be more proficient at the 2-point
Will it
shot
change
than the
the
one.
game
It
so
will.
much that it'll become
so
a
you'll
prime
get
time
shooters from a long way out shooting the ball instead of getting right underneath the ring.
Will it change the game so much that it'll become a prime time sport and override most of
All
the
it
other
needs
sports?
is exposure, and in Melbourne Storm don't get the exposure, and either does netball.
The biggest issue they've got now, though, is with women's football and NRL taking away the talent. Because it's sort of leapfrogged the amount of publicity that was it AFLW and the
That's
equivalent.
because the AFL in Victoria
They
are
invest in
pushing
it.
the
That's right.
media
No.
outlets.
That's
they're,
right.
They're not.
But that's
there are
what's going to.
better
That's the
athletes-
biggest threat to netball now. Is
Right,
those
there are
athletes.
better athletes playing netball than there are in AFL.
Yeah, I agree. But but down the track though, Don,
And
the,
a lot of
the
those
current
girls
kids,
that
the
have, I'll
current
go
teenagers.
as far as to say a lot of those girls that play AFL couldn't play netball at that level.
Okay.
Could
So
not
there.
play football at that level. I think they're just amazing athletes, the girls.
The girls are amazing athletes.
What do you think?
Athletes.
What do you think of the halftime entertainment?
I went outside. I didn't. Was there?
It's hopeless.
Was there entertainment?
Yeah, there was some singer and they had these weird sort of fluorescent things spinning, with the lights down.
I just watched the game.
And now we knew that they'd won, and good on them. Well done to the girls. Call them girls. They're all right. That's girls. So, Don, do you ever think here's in the professionalism of AFL football and the amount of training and psychiatrists they have and people who go about their diet and give them. Do you ever think that coaches say to their players, please do not deliver the ball to the forward line to anyone who's spare and out on their own. Try and pinpoint the people who are good kickers at goal, who are accurate kicks. Because what I think that's the only thing lacking in AFL as far as coaching goes. The coaches don't instruct and don't organise teams, their team players, to pick out the people who are accurate goal kickers, because most games are lost
John,
by
I
inaccurate.
can't believe you're saying this.
Can't you?
No, and you've played the game, and you're going to say, you've got to look around for your specific goal kicker. Is he in the right position? In our game, which
Yes.
is such an unpredictable
Yes.
game, the way the ball comes in from different angles and in different
Yes.
ways.
I'm
and you're saying, look for this man.
Look, not this man. Look for
your goal kicker.
I said look for 2 or 3 of the people who are traditionally
No, I
great
don't agree
kickers
with
at
you.
goal.
I work on percentages.
No. Well, that's,
All I do, the more you have shots, the more shots you're going to get.
well, then that's why we are having a robust discussion about. I don't agree with that. If you have designated goal kickers, why would you try and kick it to a ruckman who couldn't kick over a jam tin just because he's on his own?
As
kick
long
it
as
to
you're
the
having
people.
a shot for goal, John, I believe.
No, well, I don't. Well, Geelong, I think, probably lost the game against Brisbane the first time round.
Hang on.
Because,
No, Geelong didn't play Brisbane.
all right, Port Adelaide, did they?
Yep.
Who did they?
Port.
When did Tom Hawkins kick 0 goals 6?
Yeah, but Port, you've got two different styles of football, and that's why I don't think Geelong will win this week. Because Port Adelaide played a frenetic type game.
If Geelong kick it to people in a
Geelong have got to win the ball first.
what, you don't think they're capable of doing that?
I've got my doubts.
Well, you weren't happy with them last week?
Well, no, the last
You
2
weren't?
weeks.
No?
Well, I was disappointed with Brisbane because I thought Brisbane could go all the way.
Well, they didn't, Donald.
I know
Why
that.
would that be? Because Geelong beat them to the
Well,
ball.
I really don't know, but Brisbane were very good against Richmond. I know it's all in the past. In
It is in the
hindsight,
past. So your prediction was wrong.
well, my prediction's wrong.
Yes, that's right. So where does that leave your credibility as far as Geelong not
Just
being
like
able to get the
every
ball?
just like every other one who tries to pick winners in races and also football.
So if I don't know who you consider to be a good or a bad goal kicker, but if you had a man who was good in the ruck but couldn't kick for goal and he was standing on his own 45 metres away, you would say deliver the ball to him and hope that he can kick a goal. Wouldn't it be better to look for someone who is actually a proven goal kicker?
Not in a pressure situation. You don't have that time to think. It's instant.
Well, he shouldn't
reaction.
be down there in the first place
Oh,
being
John.
a loose man.
No, you don't.
Someone else who can kick goals should be being a loose man. Loose
It was
man.
interesting watching Geelong, and you wouldn't have done it. Richmond, Port Adelaide. There's two players, and I think, did Bashahuli win the Norm Smith a couple of years ago?
Yes.
I think I'd man Bashahuli up. I'd man him up because
Would
he's
you?
a loose man. They'd leave, and that's the way he won it. I think because when the pressure was on,
Is there too much?
he fumbled a couple of times, as did Marlon Pickett.
There's not too much manning up going on these days, is
Well, the pressure was certainly on against Adelaide, Port Adelaide last Friday, and I think they're two people that could be susceptible.
Didn't
but
Dusty
I don't
get-
think
didn't
Geelong
Dusty
can
get
put
the Norm
pressure.
Smith?
Beg your pardon?
Didn't Dusty get the Norm Smith?
They've won a few.
2? I think you won them both.
I was just going along with Don, banking on the fact he didn't know. I thought I'd say he did.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah. So, here's a question now.
You didn't watch it on the weekend?
No, that's correct. I won't watch it because of the umpiring, Donald. The umpires turn me off. I just
umpire?
want the umpiring.
Why would you even worry about the umpire?
I'll tell you why. Because if you've played a game for 18 years and you've been used to a little marginal contact every time you go to the ball and a little marginal bumping when you pick it up or whatever, to have the umpire continually infringing players for touching one another either a millisecond before they receive the ball or a millisecond after or a fraction on the shoulder or a fraction over the side of the head, it is unwatchable.
It's not the umpires, it's the people directing them.
That's
their
correct.
Coaches and the ruck play is an absolute disgrace too. We've talked about
That's
that
why I won't watch
many,
it. So I don't watch it.
many
I elect not
times.
to watch it. Now, could I ask you about Reece
Talking
Shaw?
about ruck play, could I just ask?
Of course, Donald.
Because I asked Gary Hocking about ruck play. Now,
$20,000 man.
Stephen Hocking.
Okay.
Sorry, Stephen Hocking.
Yes.
Do you think Stephen Hocking's become institutionalised since he's been at the AFL?
Yes.
I think he has too, because he came in.
It's a
and
bit
he
like the
changed
judges that get
game,
appointed
he
by
changed
the
game,
Premier.
but we've seen nothing since. And
It's a bit like the judges that get appointed by the
great
Premier.
ideas. And
He will end up
coming
just
out.
falling into the party line, and he won't push the envelope too much in case they say, no, you're pushing it in the wrong direction, we'll replace you.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, it becomes quite right what you said, Donald. Now, Reece Shaw. Reece Shaw has withdrawn his commission from North Melbourne.
has he withdrawn?
Oh, well,
Or I thought he was on extended leave.
Well, I thought... Rod, please.
He's on leave.
He's on leave for personal reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I'm asking is, he's been a coach for... This is his first year, wasn't it? He
Yep.
took over from Brad Scott. What I want to know is, was he suffering, do we think, those personal problems before he was appointed? And if so, we might ask Robbie this. If so, why was he appointed?
Okay, well, let's ask.
He might have far more insight into this, Robbie, because he's across it.
Robbo.
I might also ask.
No,
him-
Robbie.
football-
His name's
I've got-
Robinson, R-O-B-I-N.
But he's known as Robbo.
Robbo is not Robboson. It's Robbie. Robbie.
Everyone calls
Okay,
him
I've got
Robbo.
Well, I'm calling him Robbie. Go on, Don.
Yes, I've got a couple of football questions, which I was going to bring up in sport, but I'll leave them for Robbo.
No,
Robbie,
no.
is it? Robbie?
Bring them up
About
with us,
Chris-
and then we'll see if he
Okay,
has
well,
the
what
same
about
answer.
Chris Scott's complexion is continually...
Chris Cod.
Chris Scott.
I did know that he's in
Chris Scott.
He looks to be in Ripping Nick.
No, hang on. His complexion's changing.
He's got
He's
a
a bit
beard.
like Donald Trump.
Yes, he's got that a tangerine look.
Well, the complexion's changing depending on the week
Think he's
or
had
the
some
day.
work done.
Well, I'm asking.
He had a beard, didn't he?
He's got one now, but the complexion.
So
I don't think it's not that.
It's
warm
the
up there,
same,
surely.
mate. Is it? Of course it is.
Well, why aren't the other people exactly
they're
like him?
training.
He's in
He's
good
lolling
nick, so he's
about
probably
on
got
the
the shirt
beach.
off.
Good Nick.
Yeah, he's
His
lost a lot of
face,
weight.
I'm not
He's
looking
lost
at
a
his
lot of
body.
weight.
Yes, but what about his face? It's different complexion. Like Trump, when he was sick, he took the makeup off and he looked normal and he looked good.
Yeah,
Why does he put the makeup on?
because he looks better. Everyone looks better with makeup. Robbie will tell us about
Makeup.
Chris Scott. Robbie will tell us about a lot of things. So, Reshaw, what I want to know, was he suffering from whatever he's suffering from? Why would they appoint him if they thought he was fragile?
Let's ask Robbie.
Now, did you watch Bathurst?
I want to ask him about Ebert too.
Did you watch Bathurst?
I watched. I was going to give you a ring.
Were you?
Yeah.
Another one. Hello, it's Don. Yeah, I know it is. I saw your name come up. What do you want? Oh, I'm watching
Have
Bathurst.
you-
All right, well,
Idiot,
ring me
idiot,
again.
idiot.
You didn't say goodbye. All right, goodbye, Don. Ring again. Go ahead. What were you going to ring me
You were
about?
racing cars at one time.
Yes,
in
I
your
was.
life. Did you race at Bathurst?
Yes.
What type of car?
I drove a Falcon.
No, similar to what those guys.
No. It was in the Nations Cup. It was just a Falcon. But, you know.
Nations Cup.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter what it was. And it was the most exciting, exhilarating thing.
Hang on.
Okay, hang on. I won't give the answer.
No,
I'll let you
just
speak.
hang on.
It's,
I'm getting
it's
back
actually
to
a
the
fair
car.
question. It's a fair question.
Well, I'm
I
not
want
honest.
to understand the car more for a second.
That's
before we
exactly
know.
what I want to understand. What's the car you were driving?
It was the new model Falcon. Ford was sponsoring the footy show, and they bought the new model out, that shape that no one liked, apparently.
I'm not interested in that. Was it tricked up like these
It's
cars?
No, it wasn't. It tricked up to a certain extent that they were allowed to within the regulations, but the
So it
cars...
was a celebrity race.
No, it wasn't a celebrity race. The cars...
No,
that-
it was a proper category.
called the Nations Cup. Remember I said I stood on the third podium next to Peter Brock and Darcy Russell at the Grand Prix one day. Peter Brock drove a Monaro, Darcy Russell drove a Dodge Viper, and I drove a Lamborghini. It was called the Nations Cup, and I drove in that. And this was on up in Bathurst, and it was the new Falcon, and I drove one up there because I'd been doing a bit of racing, and it was the most exciting. And they it didn't. Those cars that race at Bathurst are not anything like the road cars. They're silhouette cars.
Yes, I know,
they
yeah.
just have the same shape, but nothing underneath the
No, I
bonnet
understand
or
that.
the suspension or the wheels. is
But
the
what
same.
the car that you had was that it wasn't just a standard car though, was it?
It was a standard car, but they were allowed to modify it by putting slicks on it and exhaust.
So you had the same spring setup as what the normal road car would have?
Yes,
Suspension?
yes.
Same seats.
But they had the seat. Yeah,
No,
and
you would have
roll
the
cage, but
wraparound
it was denuded
So
of
what
most of
speeds
its
were you
weight.
getting up to?
Oh, don't know, because you didn't have a. Well, you didn't have a speedo; just had a tachometer.
So you just drive off the tachometer?
Well, you don't drive off the tachometer at all. You just, when the car gets up to revs, you change gear, and you don't look about how fast you're going. You just drive it as fast as you can,
And
irrespective of the speed.
What type of cars were you up against?
Well, Holdens and Toyotas and
So it wasn't the same. You said a minute ago. So the Nations Cup that you raced the Lamborghini
Yes.
in isn't the same as the competition that you raced the Falcon in.
no.
You call
No,
them
but
both the Nations Cup.
they're just called different. They had hybrid Nations Cup about any cars that are sold in the nation. You could drive, and they just used to be just
What, hotted up?
generic races. No, they weren't they weren't hotted up.
It must have been.
Well, they could do certain things to them, put carburettor on them and different
That's
things,
hotting them up,
and
Don.
exhaust on them.
That's hotting them up.
Well, that's not hotting them up as in tampering with the engine too much.
And what about the Ferrari? What was that? Was that the?
That's the Nations Cup.
As
The
well,
Lamborghini is the
Lamborghini.
Nations Cup, yep.
Did you stack?
Yeah, I had a few.
Bathurst?
Not a Bathurst. I did. I
What,
came
through the hills?
No, coming down the main straight, Conrod.
Oh, really?
You go through that kink, and I went to put my foot in the brake, and the accelerator stuck on and went right through the gravel patch and into the
Was that
bales,
really
into the rubber tyres.
Frightening?
Frightening. And the person said, I said, mate, the accelerator stuck down, and they thought it was my error. So they came out and looked at it, and the spring that brings the accelerator back had broken, and it was flat on the floor.
Really?
And they said, we apologise. The spring had broken.
You're never wrong, Don.
I know.
Never wrong.
He's never wrong. The shits.
It gave me the shits. Gave me the shits when they
there
said.
at the end of this feed.
I can imagine how determined he was.
The cars
And
would
he
be
would have-
whipping past, and he'd be.
Mate, he would have sent the thing to the coroner to make sure that he was wrong, to make sure that he was in the right.
Geez.
Well, that's true. I insist that it wasn't my fault because
Sure you
everyone
would've.
blames. You never blame
So
yourself.
how were you progressing in the road? Where were you?
Um,
What, in the field or up the front?
no
down-
idea. Because
What do you think? No idea.
Well, because it goes for quite a while, and you have a co-driver, and I was the
Is
first.
this before the Bathurst,
This is
or is this a race in
this
itself?
is during the week. Yes,
leading up to the actual
leading up
race?
to it.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
that's
So
right.
there's a carnival.
Yeah, there is.
And now the other thing, is that part of the road, or is it a
Yes.
circuit?
No, it's part of the road.
It's part of the,
Yes.
the road.
Yes, you can drive down it any day.
So, but okay. So where do you go on the? Where does it go to?
Yeah,
The road.
does it go through anywhere? Does it go?
Well, but you just drive up through the mountain, through the.
But
hills.
so it's effectively just a track that's open to the public because it doesn't go anywhere, does
It
it?
is no, but it's
You don't go from A to B, Forbes to
No,
so and so.
it's
or
driving up the
Bathurst.
Bathurst Mountain. You drive up. It's like driving up to the Yuyangs, or
And you just race around like a race around the Union.
yeah, no, it is internationally famous Bathurst track.
Man, but
I know that. I know you know that.
But I'm asking you a few questions,
Well, I'm answering them. Go ahead.
which are very lay questions, I must admit. I just wonder.
Go on.
Well, so you can go up and do a scenic drive around this
Yes.
this thing.
You can.
So it is a race track. It's not part of the
It's a road track, a race track on the road.
It's like Albert Park.
It's like Albert Park.
Oh, like it. Well, okay.
So you can drive around Albert Park when it's not used. You wouldn't want to drive around there while the Formula One's on, Donald, in your ute there. No, you wouldn't want to
Might
do
have
that.
trouble keeping up.
No. So, and what do you think? Here's the people think this is a bit, a bit cruel. It's a bit redundant, Bathurst, this year because they don't sell Commodores anymore. Why were they racing against the Mustangs? Why weren't they racing the Camaros, which are taking over from the Holdens, the
That's
Commodores?
2022. I saw it in the paper.
So they're racing them next year as well, the Holdens.
Yep.
Well, what they don't make them anymore.
Well, I think that it takes a little while to develop these things
No,
because you think about it. No,
No,
it's
it
not.
doesn't.
It's not. But no, they've got to be ready for January for the start of the next season.
Well, why haven't they been getting onto it? Why, if you're not making the cars
I think
anymore,
there's been
why
a
are
bit of
they
a
transition?
transition dilemma with the GM from Holden to GM. I don't know. How do I know?
Well, you should know. You're into it.
Exactly.
I'm saying I don't know why if Camaros are taking over from Holdens like Mustangs took over from Falcons, why aren't they developing the Camaros now to be sold here? Damien Barrett's got a Camaro. Is
Damien
it a Camaro?
Barrett?
What are the Camaros, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, he's got a Camaro. He showed me his Camaro. He's very happy with it. Damien
Really?
Barrett.
I'm surprised a bit.
No,
Damien, Camaro. He doesn't
Yeah.
look that type, does he?
What?
He looks like a Mini Minor type or a Morris Minor
Or a nerd.
or a Wolseley. Wolseley.
A
would be his
Wolseley.
go. Damien Barrett and a Wolseley or a Humber. What was it with the other
A
one?
Humber snipe.
Yes.
So Bathurst, yes. So, Nick, give us your prediction before Robbie comes in. Give us
About
your
who? About what?
Well, I was going to say, Donald. I was saying, give us your prediction. You said, about what? I was about to tell you. Give us your prediction about the grand final.
Richmond, but I'm no judge.
That's true.
Richmond.
Yeah, Richmond. Based on what?
The way they play, they kick the ball off the ground, they just rush it forward. They what are you laughing at?
The way they play. Yeah, that's right. That's
well, there is.
How many years were you a special comments guy for?
Geelong seem stodgy.
How many years were you a special comments guy?
Oh, yeah, but it's stodgy.
So Don, I'm no defender.
They're very stodgy, Geelong, and they just...
So this stodgy side called Geelong, who held Collingwood to 1 goal for 3 quarters and belted them, and then overcame the side that you thought would win the grand final, this stodgy side called Geelong. You think that they couldn't...
Well, it goes back. I suppose whoever wins the ball, Johnny, whoever wins it. So it could be a stodgy game if Geelong win it, but if Richmond play and they win the ball...
Well, Richmond were lucky to have beaten Port, weren't they?
Well, they were.
Well, so
game.
why don't you say...
It was a terrific game of football, Port Adelaide and Richmond.
Umpiring?
I don't worry about the umpires.
Don't you?
No.
I worry about that the most.
Yeah, I know. You used to when you played as well.
Yeah, well...
I mean, you can't control what they're going to do, John. Just get on with the game. Anyway, let's wind this segment up. We've been going for quite a while and we're waiting for our...
No, I've had...
But before we do go, where's your tip, Sam? People will be interested to know. Are you going to go with your... Probably not. But
no.
Obviously, Cats, you're saying the Cats?
Tipping is completely futile.
The Cats?
And no, I'm not tipping anyone.
And the Storm, are you going with the Storm?
Yeah, we're going for all that.
Don, you going to the Storm?
I hope.
And
I'm hoping
Cox
Storm.
Plate, Don, who's going to win that, Don?
Wouldn't know.
Yeah,
the Cox Plate? Do you think the Queen's mother will come out and kiss the... No, that's the rowing. Isn't
Are
it?
we done?
Wouldn't kiss the Cox of the winning crew. Kiss the Cox Plate.
All right, we're done.
Right.
See ya.